Rex, I don't know if you remember this or not, but after I graduated from college, I actually went to Switzerland for 3 months and worked at a summer camp where I was a counselor for 6 to 10-year-old kids. And it was cool because, on the weekends, we'd get a chance to go and do some exploring. And do you know what the best thing about Switzerland is?
I don't know, but the flag is a big plus.
Hey, it's the Distracted Driving Podcast. I'm Sean Genovese.
I'm Rex Williams. Don't get distracted.
Don't get distracted, as we often do, just on our way to introducing an episode. This is the fourth and final part of our conversation with my friend, Mariam Laes. I think actually at this point, Rex, we could consider her your friend as well.
Yeah, I'm friends. We're friends. She's great.
Yeah. I think we've reached that level. And you know what? After her revelation in episode or in the first part of our conversation that she is not a fan of Christmas Vacation, she could use another friend because I think I said that we were done.
She dropped off your friend list and she was added to mine. So that's quite all right. I'll take her.
This episode starts with education and ends with the takedown of TikTok and the Chinese Communist Party.
Oh, yeah. Gotta hear it. Gotta hear it.
We cover Instagram videos, social networking. There's some talk of MySpace.
Your space or my space?
There's a dad joke right there.
That's not my
So
space.
if you don't know what MySpace is, you can go Google it on your second screen while you're listening to the last part of our conversation with Mariam Laes. It's the Distracted Driving Podcast. Enjoy. So what was the worst advice you ever received?
The worst advice, and I'm going to cringe at myself later when my kids dig this up in 30 years. But the worst advice I ever received was go to college and get a degree, and the jobs will just be there waiting for you when you graduate. I mean, it was like, if you go to college, your whole life will just work out. You're going to be a bajillionaire. Everyone's going to want to hire you. And so that was the worst advice I ever received. Not that I disagree with going to college. I do think people should get an education. However, I don't think it holds the same weight that it used to 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. I really do think today it's almost experience sometimes is more valued than an education. Back to Sean's point of the difference between somebody with a bachelor's and 10 years of experience or a bachelor or a PhD but fresh out of college, right? You're going to take the person with real world experience. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's just the reality that we live in. And
I think that's the point, though, is that there isn't a universal right or wrong. Back in the early 2000s, the Boeing company decided anybody within the industrial engineering skill set is going to go get certified to be a continuous improvement leader, a Kaizen workshop leader. And so there's 1,800 industrial engineers inside the Boeing company. What we ended up with was we ended up with 1,800 people that were certified to be workshop leaders and about 500 that were actually qualified and capable and interested in doing that. So I think it's kind of the same thing with college. There's, depending on your aspirations, there are things that if you want to do them, if you want to be a doctor, you probably should go to college. But there are other pathways that maybe don't require that thing that you were told was the magical gateway to greatness.
I think part of it now is because so much education and knowledge are available for free online, right? Like you can learn anything on YouTube.
Yeah.
So,
YouTube University.
Right? So colleges are
where I got my
really
PhD.
having a hard time. They're competing with the knowledge that's available. Like, and they've got to step up the game and do things differently, or else they're going to be irrelevant.
So, okay, let's talk about that for a second. And Mariam, hopefully you have a few more minutes.
Miriam's phone is going to die. So one moment while I flip it upside down so I can charge it while we
yes,
talk.
please flip us upside down.
Do what you need to do.
While you're plugging in, I'll ask my question, or I'll propose my thought bubble. I mean, so if they were competing, then you would expect that they would be trying to be more accessible, more affordable, more aligned with, say, the zeitgeist of the country. And yet I don't find that to be true. Some of those things are probably more contentious than others, but I think one thing we can say with great certainty is that it's not less expensive. It's not more affordable. It's less affordable.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if they're keeping that status to try to just separate or use that as a differentiator. We must be better because we're so expensive.
I don't think so.
It's false, but
I think there's a if you think about system archetypes and reinforcing loops, I think there's a self-perpetuating loop where you have particularly administrators, because I don't think a lot of the money that's going into the universities is going to the student-facing education. So you have this rising cost that then in turn causes the federal government, amongst others, to increase lending, adjust policies regarding student loans, make they're making student loans more accessible instead of making the education more accessible. Yeah. And so then what happens? Oh, now money is easier to get. Great. So the universities go, oh, this is fantastic. We're going to raise our prices. We can make even more money. And they hire more people and more people and more people. Do we need all those people? What are they doing? Where's the money going?
Yeah. Wasn't it? It was at MIT that put all their classes online, or what university? There's a here.
I think there are several. Yeah, there are several universities that kind of got on board with that. It's a really popular PR thing during COVID, right, where a lot of them were making their classes. I think even Harvard had a couple of courses that you can just enroll in, or they made it accessible. It's not even enroll. They just made
virtual,
it accessible online. Yeah, and I think that's a great thing. I'm all for. I mean, I love the internet because it does give everybody power. It empowers people, right? Anything you want to learn, you can Google and learn how to do. And there are people out there that are really passionate about certain subjects, like complex things, right? Like we talk about, let's say physics, which is dry and boring, but there are people that are so passionate about it. They take the time to create these YouTube videos and break it down so simply and in such an engaging way.
Mark Rober all the way, man. He's the best.
Yeah, so I mean, you get sucked into this 30-minute physics video, and in school it was like, oh my God, kill me. I would pay anyone to get out of this. But I think it's a really, that's the one big benefit of technology advancing, is just empowering people, regardless of income, regardless of status, regardless of where, mom and dad went to school, if you're an alum, if they were alumni or whatever. It's like, no, we all have access to this information, and it's up to us to have the curiosity to seek it out.
And it's whoever can make the best product. So if you can entertain kids and teach them at the same time,
right,
then you're golden. And so, the old stuffy professors got to learn how to do a little bit of entertaining.
Keep up.
And I do think, Rex, going back
Professor
to
Sean.
What you said a little bit ago, I know this is like, I guess I got to be careful that I don't shoot myself in the foot.
Sean's volunteered to retire.
But I'll be honest. I joined academia somewhat reluctantly. I do it because I do appreciate education and I like to teach. I like to convey knowledge. I started a podcast, several of them actually, for the sole purpose of conveying knowledge. Not the sole purpose.
Successful, but
not the sole purpose. We like to entertain too.
He was in it for the ad money from Sean Genevieve's. Or what? Who was
my daughter. Side note: my daughter actually. We were talking about how she could help, and I said, well, if you do this, this, and this, I'll get you a new computer so that you can do the editing for me. And then we started talking about percentages, and I said, well, I'll give you 10% of the podcast revenue. And she goes, great. How much?
She didn't ask
how much
what
do
it
you
was.
make from the podcast? And so I wrote down all the months of the year that we've been doing the podcast, and then I started slowly going, well, we didn't do anything in this one because it was new, and this, the holidays, and then it was 4th of July, so it was 0 and 0, and so we ended up with 7 months of zeros.
You had good reasons though each time.
Calculate, I stretched it out. I said, well, calculate 10% of that.
I hope you included all the sunk costs for the microphone and the app and the recording.
Yeah,
she owes you money.
She was far less excited about it. But we still might get ourselves a producer, Rex.
Awesome.
We'll see. I'm going to get her on the hook. Anyway, now I've completely forgotten what I've started talking about. It was something about education and
the reason you got into teaching because you like
academia.
teaching.
Right.
And you got to be careful because you're teaching. You were reluctant.
I know, but that's not why I started talking about that. Shoot, what was I saying?
Well, it must have not been very important.
Can we go back and check the
now
tape?
I remember. I'm radioactive.
Sean's all about democratizing information.
Hemlock is poisonous.
That's my favorite line from some movie. I think it's Stephen Wright joke. As a response
I think I was talking about education. Jeez, I don't know.
It's all right. If you think of it, you can just chime back in.
Yeah. Let's have Mariam say something.
Stop it.
Are we supposed to ask interesting questions?
What?
We have been asking interesting questions.
Oh, okay.
We're
having
not
an interesting
conversation.
conversation.
I don't think I'm interested.
Yes, we're having a conversation.
Yeah. No, the only thing I wanted to share publicly with all 2 of your listeners, soon to be 3 when my husband gets a hold of this link.
Got another one.
No, the one thing and Sean and I have talked about this a lot, and kind of going back to like influencing people and teams and all that. Some of my favorite takeaway from business school was learning about psychological safety. And Sean, I don't know if you've ever talked about this on your podcast, but I know you and I have talked about it a lot. Have you, Rex? You know what we're talking about?
Safety? Yeah, it's come up. For sure.
So yeah, that's one of my favorite things is just kind of establishing that within your teams. And there are a lot of jokes made about safe spaces and snowflakes and this and that, and that's not what we're talking about, right? It's more about getting people to bring their best selves to a conversation and to work, and feeling like they're heard, not because everybody needs to be equally heard. I mean, they should be, but we really want people to be comfortable and not defensive. I just think when you go into a conversation and you're already on the defense, that's so counterproductive for organizations, right? And we're never going to get to the root cause of a problem. We're never going to get to the best idea if we're all pointing fingers at each other and trying to, cover our own asses. And so I think it's important that leaders establish an environment where people are not afraid to share ideas. And I had a couple of rules in Sean's class that I really liked. I think the students really liked them too, where I said, if you're going to raise your hand to contribute something, it can't be it can be a new thought, but it shouldn't just be a new thought that's not related to what the last person was talking about. It should be yes and. So we should be building upon what the last person just said. Even if you think their idea is the crappiest thing in the world, find the good in it and build on that in whatever it is you're about to say. And that it just sort of encourages active listening, which is really hard to do. I find myself struggling
For
with that.
sure.
So, our minds are firing like at
Yeah,
a
yeah, we all
thousand
do it.
thousand ideas at a time, and you hear something and you can't help but react to it, and you want to get your idea out there. But I think if we all try to be a little bit more mindful of that in our interactions and just think, okay, I'm going to listen to what this person says and I'm going to build off of it.
Yes,
I just think it creates for a more engaging discussion.
that's what we need to do.
Sometimes we just go down a tangent and then we
Here.
forget what we were talking about in the beginning.
Yeah, who does that? Wow,
I
that
remembered,
is
by
so
the way,
great.
which we'll come back to in a second.
Miriam, that is so key because, yeah, everybody's got great ideas, but also everybody has not so great ideas, right? So you kind of have to be able to, like, share your idea and then, have people, like, say, we're not going to go that direction or whatever, and be okay with that, at sometimes. And then, having this exchange where you're heard and listened to, and you learn things, and safe space.
I really, well, not a safe space, a space of psychological safety,
Okay.
Yeah.
which is different. It is different.
It is different.
Especially
Space.
when you add in the layer of like pop culture references and you look at it through that lens. But I did like the rules. That was one of, I think you had 3. I don't know that I'm going to use the exact 3, but I definitely like the concept, and I think I'm going to apply variations of them in the classes next semester, because as you discovered, I have a lot of international students, and what I realized my learning this semester was just the differences in culture and cultural norms, particularly within an educational setting. I noticed there was a lot of times when a student would be giving an answer or talking or saying something, and then somebody else just starts talking. It's like, wait, they weren't done. Hold on, like, right? But it's just
But that was a cultural norm that was okay with
yeah.
it. Part of their
Yeah.
culture. Yeah.
And it was something that, that's just one silly little example, but I mean, there are things that we assume that people are just gonna, here's the baseline. But some of those things are specific to life in the United States. And when you get people who come here from outside of the United States, there's a little bit of a disconnect. It's part of the educational process.
They don't get all your jokes and references to
That's a fact.
obscure movies.
Yeah. It's funny. Some of the more obscure ones they have gotten, and
Oh, yeah?
some of the ones I would think are mainstream go over their heads. Before I forget again, though, so Rex, you were talking about schools being competitive, and I was finishing that thought. That's what I forgot.
Okay, let's go back. Go on
What
back.
I started, rewind. What I was trying to get to is that the schools better start figuring out how to be competitive, because what you said is so true. The engagement, like getting the attention. You mentioned the guy who does the physics videos. That's the model that's going to be the future. And right now there might be a cultural norm that says, oh, we go to college. There might be subsidies that make it more affordable, or at least make it appear that way. But that can't
it's
last
more
forever.
authority. I think the thing that has, like, oh, you just saw on YouTube or Wikipedia, and they don't know what they're talking about. I'm the professor. I've studied this all my life, so I know the right answer.
Well,
Right?
and
So
and
that's-
the consumers of our degreed individuals, i.e. the companies and the employers, as soon as they start going, you know what, wait a minute, the value this person brings to me that came out of this 4-year university versus the value of this person that went to YouTube University, if they come to a realization that this person is just as, if not more valuable than the other, then the universities are in big, big trouble.
Yeah, that's an interesting angle. I never thought of that. Like who's the real customer? Yeah.
So what Sean's saying is that all lectures should be delivered in a TikTok video
That's
format
right.
No, TikTok
to
is
keep
China. They're
Gen
going to
Z
steal your
engaged.
data.
TikTok.
Read the terms of use. Don't use TikTok.
He wants a 15-second video on IE principles. John, that's what you should do. TikTok videos.
I'm doing Instagram videos.
No. Come on, that's for old people.
Yeah.
That's
As an
I guess I could
assignment
get
for your students.
I get a burner phone. Post TikTok videos from my burner phone.
I'm not even on TikTok. That's how I know it's for the youngins. I'm like, that's too much.
Are
even
you
for
like
me.
Snapchat generation or what?
No, I mean, maybe I'm supposed to be, but I don't know.
She was in that gap year, like between MySpace, but before Facebook and after Hot or Not. It's really a weird.
Actually, yes.
Are you serious?
That is exactly where I land. It's like, I had to like wait to age into Facebook, but I didn't have to be in college for Facebook. So like, and MySpace was a thing, but my parents were like, "No, you're too young to have a MySpace page." So, yeah, I'm in that weird gap.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, people now are all over TikTok, and they're like, "Oh, Snapchat, old news."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Facebook, that's for boomers. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, well, good thing I deleted mine 5 years
Facebook,
ago.
it's not boomers. It's Gen Xers, I find.
It's coming back around, like Facebook pages. It's
interesting.
interesting.
A lot of people that are, let's just say, in the age range near the hosts of the show cling to the Facebook.
Or
Oh,
Instagram.
okay.
I think Facebook, Instagram. But yeah,
No,
each one of my
I don't know.
daughters, they're two years apart, and they're different generations of apps. Like one's
Right.
Yeah,
Snapchat.
you guys are making apps uncool. So what you need to do is hit up TikTok, and then everyone will get off of TikTok.
Okay.
Because then the old people
know
are
what?
on it. Yeah.
When
Definitely,
you put
there's
it-
old people on there.
Okay,
I'm
so
on it. I'm on TikTok.
so normally I'd be offended that you called me old, but I'm going to go ahead and prioritize the swipe at taking down the Chinese conglomerate. So, all right,
Yeah.
good. Well,
Tell all your friends.
I think Rex, do you think we have enough? You think we have enough for an episode?
You bet. Good conversation. Really great.
I suspect it'll be several, and we could keep talking, but I want to respect Mariam's time. She is talking and sitting for 2 right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can't sit still. We got something inside you like that. So appreciate
Right.
you being here.
Hey, call me when I'm on maternity leave. I'll have
You know
all-
what?
yeah,
Actually,
let's do
that
it.
would be
Guys.
great.
Now.
That
Let's
would be
do a
great.
second
Yeah,
episode.
we'll
Have
do
your-
talk.
You should wait
Listen.
to release this episode.
Honestly, it'll probably be about then. But you want to talk about no status quo? Yes, let's talk to a new mother,
Yeah.
a new
Yeah. What
do you
first-time
do?
mother.
A new first-time mother trying to navigate the business world with no maternity leave.
Oh really?
That's
You have to
so.
work on
Yeah,
that.
I don't.
Aren't
What
you in
kind of
charge or something?
anti-woke
Well, so my
organization are you working for?
Yeah, it's aerospace. No. So it's because I haven't been with my company for a year.
Oh.
So a lot of those benefits
Right.
are. It's not that I haven't been employed for a year. I haven't been employed with them
Yeah.
for a year. So a lot of people don't know that. Like FMLA does not kick in until your
Right.
1 year
Wow.
mark. A lot of your company benefits where they supplement disability leave, that won't kick in until your 1 year mark. So I'm not actually guaranteed any leave, but my company has been, kind enough to work with me.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
sure they'll let you
But there are, a lot of like internal pressures that we can talk about at a later time of being a female businesswoman trying to do it all.
Yeah.
As cliche as that sounds.
Yeah. Well, shoot. Good luck to you. You're.
Thank you.
It sounds like you'll be great. You'll be awesome at both jobs.
Yeah, you're
and,
not now, but you will be. Don't worry. You'll
yeah,
get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mother
You'll get
job
there.
is super important.
I'm going to take Rex's career path so that I get
Ooh.
to
Yeah,
where
just
he's
do
at.
whatever you want. That's what I do.
Just go out and be that guy dancing by himself and get some followers and then put up some flyers and you'll have a movement and you'll be a thing and a leader and it'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy sounds cool. So thank
Mariam,
you guys for having me. I do appreciate it.
thank you for your time and wisdom and knowledge and for not making fun of me too much.
Saving it for the next episode. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
We'll see you next time.